get the Proust out then.
So when was this one started?
It's a. I'm nervous about this because it's a. I'm not very good at staying still. I'm always pushing to find a better way of saying what I'm trying to say. And
Yes.
though I mean the sewing's come about with me trying to make it not art. It's and I've always struggled with that. You know, I like you, I did fine art. But prior to that I did theatre design and illustration.
Yeah.
And I've always needed to make. And when I did fine art it was a lot of making. I made corsets, I made paper dresses, I made tiny shirts, and it never fitted. It was never current trend.
Yeah. Do you mean in art? It wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't seen as part of the wider dialogue that was going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
But doesn't that mean make it kind of more? It makes it more unique, and it's very difficult to work in that way. But that is kind of the edge of.
I mean, it depends on confidence, doesn't it? I mean,
yes.
And I've broken rules, but I've not done it comfortably.
Yeah.
I think.
Is it ever comfortable?
Probably not.
I don't think.
But I you see other artists who do it on purpose. They want to
boldly.
Yes. You know, Damon Hirst, Tracy Emin. It's done. It's seemingly with confidence. Maybe they're not.
It could be all an act. They could really have a persona, and they're literally just playing it out because they know it will do something, and it may be what they all do.
Yes.
For all we know.
Very possible.
Whereas, say, some people would prefer to be themselves and daring and feel that fear, whereas other people might put on a persona. Or you might do it sometimes, just at those moments where you have to break through the next barrier, because it's not consistent. You're not every day doing that. And once you set something in motion, there's almost no going back. Sometimes, if you've made it, if you're say Damien Hirst and you've made something public, or Tracy Emin,
it is this. And when I stopped making the work for galleries, your identity is put into question, and what what do you do? You know, as a visual artist, you're always being asked to, oh, you're a sculptor, you're a painter, and I don't know where I fit within that. I never have. It's always been, what I do has always been a response to what I want to say.
Yeah.
And how can I say this? So it's always essentially about communicating something. But the sewing is. I mean, this is Proust, and I'm literally sewing word for word the first chapter of Swan's Way, and I'm emulating the way that writers have often literally copied out novels that they've loved because they wanted to understand the writing by writing it out. So writers like Hunter S. Thompson and Jack London, they've been documented.
Yeah.
So they would write Hemingway,
the whole
thing, and I think Hunter S. Thompson did it several times.
Yeah.
So it's almost like by ingesting it. And the thing with sewing is it's so painfully slow. So my idea was that by doing this, I am going to really ingest Proust. And so I did an MA in creative writing recently, and again, I don't know what I do. I don't know if I'm a writer or not. I don't know. It's just.
Aren't you a mixture? There's all these things on part of you.
Possibly.
You're not one thing or the other, because it's like pigeonholes. Like trying to put someone in a box when actually some people might be just that.
Yes, they might be, and they might be comfortable with that. But one's sense of self is always looking for a peg or a thing. You know,
true.
This is what I am. I can be comfortable. This is the uniform I put on. Whereas I don't, and I waver. You know, if I'm writing, I want to be making, and so this seemed to be a way of bringing the two together. But it's not turned out the way I thought.
How has it turned out different? How can you describe the difference?
Because it's not really. I'm not reading. I'm taking myself beyond the the reading. So cross-stitch is always all about counting, and I'm not. I had to teach myself. I've never done this before. So it's about counting, and so you're going beyond the reading. You're forming the letters and letters shapes. It's making an abstract of something that's quite concrete.
And something that would otherwise flow with the writing.
Yes.
It'd be a moment's gesture.
Yes.
That letter.
Yes.
Usually.
Yes.
Or when it's less.
Yes.
It's in the modern printing techniques.
Though in a way it's perhaps going back to the old way of typesetting,
Yes.
where you're taking each letter, and
minute
it becomes
letters.
patterns, and I'm so obsessive that everything has to be measured, and that then goes beyond the writing of it, and yet the work I like to do is about getting beyond what I'm doing. So it is a meditative process.
Yeah. Things come out from
Yes,
the very
and it's
process.
the thought process that matters in some ways.
Yes.
And I always listen to the radio, and I started writing a sewing diary, so I list the radio that I listen to, and whenever I've worked, I've always listened to audiobooks, so it's always, when I look at a piece of work that I've made, I've always remembered what I've listened to.
What's been...
Because it's fed into it, subliminally.
Yeah. And so I've attempted to have a language I don't understand washing over me rather
It's interesting. I spent some time in my mother's Norwegian, and I've worked there on off, and I used to listen to their radio, and there is something quite relaxing about that intonation that you don't have to make sense of.
No, it's beautiful
Yeah.
because obviously Welsh is a very distinctive rhythm and tone and the sounds. So every so often they might say, I don't know, what's the word for microwave? Something really funny like ping something, and then suddenly some random words they wouldn't translate. So it's really that actually adds to the experience of painting or doing something that you're allowing yourself to take a long time over it. That's sometimes quite a difficult thing to sit with the society we live in, the time that we want to allow ourselves to spend on. So some things I don't know how, but some I paint and I print and I performance, but this is quite new for me. And performance just takes so long in a run-up, and then it's over in a flash. And painting could take 10 minutes. Small ones, sometimes you don't. It doesn't need more than that. Sometimes less is definitely more, as you've said. And other times you can spend hours and hours and hours layering up this very tiny.
And I think the issue with something that's slow is you have long periods where you're not sure that you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
And with this, I'm so frustrated by the fact I want to finish it and see what it looks like as a block of text.
You're impatient
and
to
then,
see
that. Because you can't make judgments until it's got to a certain stage.
No.
I mean, the performance that I did at Royal Davis, part of that was I wanted an opportunity to put myself in public doing something that I was uncertain of. So all the connotations of sewing, and cross-stitch particularly, which is cosy, crafty, feminine, domestic. So
Quiet. Pushes you into the background.
Royal Davis had this drawing room project. Did you?
I've heard of it, yes.
So I thought I would set it so I was a Victorian woman in the drawing room space sewing,
Well, that
which is
living
what
room,
they
so
did.
it's very homely,
Yes,
isn't
exactly.
it? Yeah.
But I sat on the floor and I put a corset and a crinoline on, but I wanted to see how I felt about doing something that I was almost ashamed of, because it's not art in the public gaze. And talking about the slowness of it, so I thought, I don't know what I would achieve, so I started this, so I was there all day, and I only managed to do one strip all day. And I was writing,
such a lot of,
and I was writing
crosses.
what was happening in front of me.
Yeah.
So I wait in silence, broken by a clamour of children running. I heard them in the gallery. They stopped still before me, a row, I was going to say a row of Wellington boots, but so my idea was that I was going to capture the events as they were happening. I mean, it's an impossibility.
It's obviously very slow process.
And
so
obviously that was just the first minute.
A fragment of it you can get.
But the interesting thing that came from the performance was that people ignored me. And so I was doing performance art and they ignored me. And I hadn't factored that in, but it became rather delicious. And I'm going to take this further. You know, I want to go and sit on the tube and do this. I want to go and sit on buses and do it. Because I thought, is it just the fact that I'm doing something that seemingly is non-art? So, yeah. But in a way, I achieved what I set out to do. I showed the fact that, certainly in the past, women sewing, that was their way of making themselves invisible. So be demure, particularly in the 19th century, and be quiet. But the interesting thing was that I was doing something that I was so uncertain about, and it was overlooked. It was overlooked. And as a writer, for me it was a performance about writing. You know, so this is another piece that I walk very early in the morning, really early, and I write on my online journal about these walks, and I wanted to make it, again, walking is fast, things happening all the time. So there's birds, there's in Aberystwyth there's students, there's noise, and I'm interested in capturing the things that happen around me. And again, the idea of doing something slowly, writing it slowly. There's an intensity to it.
You've got some words across.
Yeah, so it's a bit like the process of writing. So I think back to the manuscripts you see of poets where they've scratched words out. They're transcribing as they think. They're I was using the tapestry as a sketchy piece of work, again, which you wouldn't do because you would think it through.
You would plan it. Yeah.
So it's really a piece about the process of writing, and you wouldn't normally see this in acrostic. Acrostics usually there's a pattern, it's controlled, it's planned. So I'm subverting these processes all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm doing something that people wouldn't see as subversive.